Welcome to this special edition of the Stephen A. Smith Show. Although, as always, I'm coming at you at the very least 3 days a week over the digital airways of YouTube and, of course, iHeartRadio. I'm calling this a special edition because of who I'm going to spend the next hour talking to. You know, when you're in the presence of greatness, it's not just about being in awe of someone and their accomplishments. It's about figuring out what makes them tick. It's about trying to decipher and comprehend what makes them so special. Why did they stand out above the crowd? What was it about them that made them so special? What can I peel from them in order to contaminate myself with and ultimately be the best that I can be? Anytime I'm in the presence of the one and only Tom Brady, that 7-time Super Bowl champion, that 3-time league MVP, that guy, that's exactly the kind of attitude that I have. It's not just because he threw a football so exceptionally well. It was because of his commitment to excellence, his attention to detail, his never say die attitude, the commitment to the process. That's who Tom Brady is. That's who he's always been. That's who one quarterback after another tries to emulate. He's also the guy that will be talking about those quarterbacks in that Fox booth for the first time this season, jump-starting a 10-year contract with Fox. He is special. Make no mistake about it. Very few know more football than he does. So when he speaks, it would be wise for all of us to listen. That includes me. Tom Brady with yours truly up next, right here on the Stephen A. Smith Show.
I'm going to introduce, love him or hate him, you know his name, one of the most, if not the most, iconic figures in sports media. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Stephen A. Smith.
What's up, everybody? What's up, everybody? How y'all doing? I appreciate the love and support. I love y'all watching me on TV every day, but damn it, I'm not box office. The person that I'm bringing up here next, that's the man who's box office. I'm gonna waste very, very little time. A 7-time champion, the greatest quarterback in the history of the National Football League, soon to be one of the elite football analysts we've ever heard, the one and only Tom Brady's in the house, ladies and gentlemen. What's up?
What's happening? This is
nice. It's not bad.
This is a little surprising to me. I wasn't quite expecting this when I walked out.
I'm not.
Way to show up.
Tom Brady, the obvious question looking at a crowd like this out here, obviously, this ain't Gillette Stadium, but it's still a large crowd. How much do you miss it?
Wow. First of all, thank you for being here with you, who I love spending time with. And whether we talk on the phone or on some of your shows, always enjoy hearing your insight. We've known each other a long time, and now we get to keep it going now that I'm in media. And obviously, great being with you guys, who are the fans who keep all this going for us athletes. And I think it's very cool what Fanatics has done as kind of a celebration of you guys, to hopefully reward you guys and bring a lot of great athletes together with a lot of the hobbies that you guys are really involved in. So I think for me, love you, man. I got here yesterday. I was hitting hockey pucks, swinging baseball bats, throwing footballs, throwing punches. So I hope you guys get to experience a lot of that over the next few days. But I think it's really cool what Fanatics has done and how they're pulling things together. So, and all the Patriot fans in here who drove down from New England, Well, there's some Jets fans here, too. And hopefully a few Tampa fans in here, but it's nice for everyone to turn up. Here we go.
That's right.
Love that, too.
What is life like right now for a 7-time champion that's retired? I'm not talking about work. I'm just talking about when you talk about, was it basketball, you're lifting weight? I mean, what are you, TB12? We'll get into all of that because you're in pretty damn good shape right now. But I got to ask you, what is life like in retirement?
I'd say I'm retired from football, but I'm busier than ever in life.
All right.
And I just had a lot of great things going on, still mostly involved in sports. And I think that's where I've spent the last 33 years of my life, from going back from high school sports all the way through now. And I get a chance to now cover it for Fox this year and still be involved in football in a real intimate way. So I'm back to watching film. I'm back to kind of doing things the way that I used to do them and the way that I got really efficient and effective over a long period of time. So I got a lot of things that keep me busy and still trying to be a great dad and be there for my kids. So I think between everything, it's a little busier. And all the parents out there know what it's a challenge to be a good parent. So we all appreciate it. And all the kids, hope you appreciate your parents too, because there's a lot of work they put in to make your life a little bit easier.
I got to ask you this question. It's really on a personal level, because for me, I'm a dad. I got 2 beautiful daughters. And what I've learned is I have no rights whatsoever. I mean, they just, my daughters run my life. They like, Dad, just stop arguing. You're just going to do what we want you to do when all is said and done. Is that what life is like for you?
Absolutely, yes. That is exactly the same way. They call me, I know there's a request, because when they don't call, I don't hear from them. And when I don't hear from them, I know they don't want anything.
That's right.
So they just show up and they say, Dad, can I do this? I want to go to here, and can we do this? So it's, providing them. And I think as a parent, naturally, that's my dad. Man, my dad, every time I asked him, Dad, can we go to the batting cage?
Right.
Dad, can we go up and throw the football around? He was always there and available. And I think one thing that I try to be as a parent is that for my kids. When they really want you to do something, go out there and do it with them.
This is the interesting part, because every Hall of Famer that I've ever heard speak, they always throw an apology out there to their family, because they say all the dedication, the commitment to excellence, trying to win. We made so many sacrifices that, we missed out on so much. But here's the thing with the kids. They're fine with it, but they make you feel guilty because they're working you to try to get everything they can out of you. Do you find that to be the case?
Absolutely. I think a lot of it is they're going to grow up one day. They're going to have their own job. They're going to have to dedicate their own time. They get a sense of that with school. And I think as my kids got a little older, and maybe your daughter is the same, I think my oldest, at least when I say, hey, I got to do something, he goes, absolutely, Dad, go for it. So I think they begin to appreciate, and hopefully as they get older and they start to have the responsibilities of an adult, when you're working hard to be a dad and also to provide for the family, that does come at being away a bit, being really focused on my job. And I think that the kids, when they have their responsibilities and they got homework and now they got choices. Well, I understand that you can't do everything all the time, and every request that's made isn't possible. So I think during football season, it's going to go, now that football season's coming up, I'll have a little less time on the weekend, which I'm happy about. Really excited to cover football, really excited to give insight to you guys who tune in to watch, who have been great football fans, and really anxious for you guys to see things through my eyes, and I get to express it on TV for a lot of years going forward.
Everybody knows, it's not a secret, you signed a 10-year deal with Fox or whatever. What made you decide, I know I want to do that. I want to be calling football games. I want to be giving color commentary. I want to be a commentator on football games. When did you make the decision that that was something you wanted to do?
It wasn't really even on the radar when I retired.
All right.
And I didn't even think that when I would retire, that's something I would go into. But I had saw teammates go into it with a great degree of success. Teddy Bruschi's one that I really love on television.
Great. That's my guy.
Willie McGinnis is another one that on NFL Network I thought did a great job. Rodney Harrison. Great job on NBC. So I kind of looked at them and realized they were great leaders of the team. How can they get on there and express their views on television to really spread their positive outlook on what football has meant to them, and as they look forward, what it can do for a lot of people, and they were so successful at. So when I retired, it was just met with Fox, and they said, this is what we think we want you to do. and didn't realize that type of opportunity was out there. And then I couldn't turn it down when they said, hey, you're going to be the lead analyst. And I thought, okay, you know what? I still get to be a quarterback. Because in some ways now I'm just quarterbacking something a little bit different. But in the end, you're sitting in that hot seat. You're in the one calling the shots. And that's where I like to be. That's where I'm most comfortable.
Anybody in particular that you enjoyed watching and listening to that you kind of think you might potentially mirror yourself after? Because Tony Romo, for example, does a great job on CBS. John Madden made the position famous for many years doing Monday Night Football and doing Sunday Football with Pat Summerall for years before he Monday Night. Anybody that stood out in your mind that you said, you know what, that guy is great. I wish I could be that good if I decide to do this?
So it's interesting because as a quarterback, when I would watch football games, when I was an active player, I would really only watch the quarterback. And I'd watch how he was playing, how he reacted to defense. I really wasn't listening much to what was going on the TV because whatever they said, I only had my own view and judgment. I would say in the last 18 months, it's totally transitioned to now I could care less what the quarterback's doing. I'm still watching, but I'm really listening to what's going on between the two people, the analysts and the play-by-play guys. So for me, it's probably taken a little bit of a lot of them, and I don't think there's anyone in particular other than I've reached out to a lot of different people, Troy Aikman and Collinsworth. I mean, I've talked to a lot of people, Tony, obviously, and I think I like little bits and pieces of each of them. And they're all very talented, and they're all a little bit very different. So how my style ends up kind of being presented, that will be to be determined. But I think for me, it's going to be unique to me. And I think I do have, I feel, unique insights based on my experiences as a 6th-round pick, as someone who got injured, someone was a 3rd string on the quarterback, then a backup on the depth chart, then went in because of injury, then won Super Bowls, lost Super Bowls, didn't make the playoffs, made the playoffs. All these experiences that I had, free agency, being on a new team, integrating yourself into a new environment, playing in different weather conditions. There's so many different things that I was able to be a part of that I can relate to kind of this current generation of athletes that are going out there trying to make their dreams come true.
What type of analyst can we, I'm asking, as a personality, what kind of a personality can we expect to see from Tom Brady?
I think it'll feel probably very authentic to my natural self.
Okay.
And I would say my biggest challenge is that I'm very critical of the play in the NFL.
Okay.
And I think because I was very critical about the way I played in the NFL, and I was very critical about the way that our team played in the NFL, and I think the expectations for performance that I had were very, very, very high. So the most challenging thing is when I see something, when I think, oh, that was horrible.
Right.
I just can't say that on TV.
Why not?
Well, because there's parents and, there's parents and there's family members, and I don't want to always necessarily say it in that way.
Okay.
But I think if I was doing it myself, and let's say I threw a really bad interception, I would walk to the sidelines and I said, you are the worst quarterback in the world. How could you possibly make that throw? That was terrible.
Right.
But I just don't want to be so critical because in some ways I don't necessarily know exactly what the problem was on that play. If, let's say, Daniel Jones throws an interception. I didn't mean to say it like that.
That's what I'm trying to say. That's what I'm trying to say.
Wait a minute.
That's what I'm trying to say, sir.
I wasn't even being critical of Daniel Jones.
Right.
Maybe I was a little bit.
That's what I'm saying. And not only that, because of your expertise, we can guess and we can speculate on what we're seeing and ultimately lean on the result. You'll know specifically what the hell somebody did wrong and why.
Yeah.
And you gonna dial it back or you gonna bring it?
Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna dial it back to make something that was negative into a neutral or a positive.
Right.
I think if something's not good, I'm gonna point it out why it's not good and how it can be better.
Right.
That's the important part is, and I think a lot of it, even the criticism of a player versus the criticism of a play is very different. Just because someone is attached to the negative aspect of a play doesn't mean you're being negative toward that player.
Right.
Look, anyone who's playing in the NFL is a talented player. Anybody who is making a living playing professional sports is at the 1% of the 1% of the 1%. They're all great. That doesn't mean what they do is great all the time.
Right.
Being a great player is about making great plays consistently over the course of a week, of a game, of a season, of a career. If you tell me someone's a great player, it doesn't mean he makes great plays all the time. I could make bad plays. I just make a lot more great plays than bad plays. You know what? Even a very average player can make great plays.
Right.
But the problem is they make a great play, then they make a negative play. Great play, negative play. Well, in that case, you are average, because great, an A and an F, it ends up being a C. And I think for a great player, you should aspire to mostly A's, definitely some B's, every once in a while some C's, and very, very rarely, you know, the D's and the F's, so to speak.
Why the hiatus? You retired from football, but you weren't calling games. You weren't doing analytical work on the games last year. Did you want the year to prepare? Did you just want a year off? Why didn't we see you doing this last season?
So 23 years of playing was a grind. That was a treadmill. That treadmill was moving very, very fast for a long period of time. And the reality is I was definitely tired from that physical exhaustion and the mental exhaustion. I wanted to take a year. If I was going to be, I realized that if I want to be really great at this, and I know you're someone I look up to, the commitment you've made to be great, there's a lot of energy, there's a lot of time, there's a lot of emotion, there's a lot of focus, and I needed to divert a little bit of that attention and focus to the other things in my life that needed some attention. So I wanted to commit as much as I could to reorganizing my life. And again, Coach Belichick always had a great line during the season.
Right.
I know, he's an amazing coach. And he would always say, there should be a drawer at your desk, and everything that comes to that inbox, every request you get, just put it in the drawer for 6 months. It can wait. And when the season's over, open up that drawer and handle the stuff that you need to handle. Now, we couldn't do that all the time because we're all in life and things are happening, but I had a 23-year-old drawer. Wow. And that thing was full. And I needed, I think, 18 months to unpack that drawer, see what the hell was in that drawer. There was a few trophies in there. But I had to unpack that drawer and then figure out really what needed attention and really where I could reorganize some things to make sure the next 23 years of my life went the way that I wanted.
Let me deviate off of you for a second and ask you a question about this individual. You brought up Bill Belichick. I looked at him and I said to somebody, on one hand, when he was out on the open market and you saw these networks talking about him or whatever, I'm like, why would somebody want to bring him on? Because he never wanted to talk before. So why would he want to talk now? But then I said to myself, wait a minute. Because he never wanted to talk before, now everybody might be interested in what he has to say when he does talk. What mindset do you have when it comes to Bill Belichick being in television?
Well, the difference is they paid him to coach. They didn't pay him to talk. Now they're paying him to talk.
Gotcha.
So he's going to do what he's being paid for.
Right.
And he realized that every time he talked to a coach, the only thing he could do is get you into problems.
Right.
Because the last thing we wanted to do as an athlete was go out there and tell all those players on the other team exactly what our plan was. And if anything, we were going into that battle and we wanted, our game strategy. We didn't want you to know anything. And there's coaches like Andy Reid who are a lot like that. He won't tell you anything. You can talk to him. He's not saying anything. He's talking to you in circles. So I think what I appreciated about Coach Belichick as a player was he really told us and gave us the opportunity to make sure that we could put things back on him to say, hey, this is just not what we do as a team. We're not going to get up here, talk about, and try to prove to you guys how smart we are by talking about what our game plan is. At the end of the day, we wanted our focus to be on the game. We were going to let ultimately the result of the game speak for ourselves. Rather than try to win the press conference all the time, try to be liked, ultimately, we want to go out there and give ourselves the best chance to win because, listen, this is what I did when I was a player. I would get all the clippings from every local reporter that we were going to play. Right. So if we were playing the Jets, I had all the New York papers sending at our football facility all the quotes from all the Jets players over the course of the whole week.
Because?
Well, because they're going to tell you what they're going to do.
Gotcha.
And I think for me, okay, the more information that they were going to give me, I was going to take that information, at least be able to anticipate, go out there and play with confidence as a player that, okay, I got a good idea of what their strategy is going to be to try to stop us. And then that's the cat and mouse game of sports. You're going to tell me what I'm going to do? Great. And now we'll figure those things out within the first quarter or so. But at the same time, if we can go in there with better preparation than them, and part of the preparation was learning from the things that they were saying,
right.
Well, that was the best thing you could do.
And I look at Bill Belichick, and listen, everybody knows I love trolling the Dallas Cowboy fans. I just do. I just love it. It just does something for me. It's Christmas. They give me Christmas early every year. Okay, this is what they do. But the thing about it is that, genuinely speaking, I honestly felt that was the one place that would have been perfect for Bill Belichick once you departed. Because my attitude is, all Jerry Jones wants to do is talk to the media. All Bill Belichick wants to do is coach and not talk to the media. It would have been a match made in heaven. I thought they passed an opportunity. When you look at Bill Belichick and his greatness as a coach, coaching you all of those years, do you think the Cowboys missed out on him not being a coach for them? Do you think everybody that could have had an opportunity missed out? What's your thought about teams passing up on hiring him?
I think without a doubt he's the greatest coach to ever coach in the history of the NFL. And sitting in a meeting room with him for 20 years, there is no coach that I felt more prepared by than Coach Bill Belichick. And I think that's the only thing you can ask for as a player. Once that coach prepares you and they walk you out on the field, that coin flip, then the coach has very little to say on game day. Then it's up to us. And we have to take the things that we've studied, that we practiced over the course of the week. Now we got to go out there and execute it. But what you expect from a player is that when you tell me to do something, when you tell me to count on something, when we design this play, then ultimately when I go out there on the field, I can count on and I can bank on that is absolutely supposed to happen. Now, sometimes if you're playing another coach that's equally as skilled, they're going to have some counterattacks to your attacks. And you've got to be able to be prepared for those. But I think he prepared us so well. And if I would look at any of these organizations who have any head coaching vacancies, Bill Belichick, to me, is a no-brainer. Now, he's going to come and he's going to be authoritative.
That's right.
And he's going to have his own way of doing things, and you got to be okay with that. But when I'm looking at a coach to prepare a team, he's an incredible coach. And I think Mike McCarthy's an incredible coach, too. So, coach of the Cowboys, he's had 12-win seasons. I know people talk about him all the time, but he's a football guy, too. That's all he wants to talk is football, and he's a good fit for that organization as well. So, I think that's ultimately what the role of the coach is. The coaches, to me, that are the ones that are giving all the information away, spending more time giving information away to the public than they are to the players, those are the ones that I have a problem with.
Okay, everybody, you know what time it is. It's time for Stephen A's Weekly Picks. You see, I've teamed up with Prize Picks to bring you my favorite picks for every big-time game or sporting event. Prize Picks is a skill-based real money daily fantasy sports game where you select 2 or more players and predict if they'll have more or less than their stat projections for the game. It's not only super exciting, but incredibly easy to play. And guess what? It only takes 60 seconds to make your picks, okay? Pick the stats for Caitlin Clark, Dak Prescott, Ohtani, or even Tiger Woods, and then sit back, watch, and chill. Sign up with code SAS and Prize Picks will give you $50 instantly when you play your first $5 lineup. Your lineup doesn't need to win or receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. All you have to do is play a $5 lineup on Prize Picks, and you'll get $50 instantly. Now, let's look at today's winning picks, okay? Let's go with Xander Bogaerts. More or less than 1.5 hits, runs, RBIs. San Diego been flowing, doing their thing. The brother can ball. I'm going to give him love. I'm going to go with more, okay? More. Shohei Ohtani. More or less than 2.5 hits, runs, plus RBIs. As great as this dude is, I never imagined in my wildest dreams we'd see somebody this good. I'm watching him the other day smack a couple of home runs. His bat speed is phenomenal. And oh, by the way, he hasn't even pitched this season. That's next season. So just look at what the Dodgers got on their hands right now. This brother is something special. Make no mistake about it. We're going with more because it's Shohei Ohtani. That's why. J.D. Martinez, more or less than 1.5 hits, runs, plus RBIs. I know you're seeing what the Dodgers have, but he's a member of the Mets right now, okay? With the New York Mets, they're not the Yankees. Maybe that's the excuse I'm going with less. But it's just that on this particular day, I don't feel that more is the way to go with him. So I'm going to go with less. And by the way, Ellie De La Cruz, more or less than 1.5 hits, runs, RBIs. He's special. Special talent. Every time I see him, I think about more, because he's got that kind of skill set. I'm going to go with more. So let's go back and revisit this, okay? We got Bogarts, more. We've got Ohtani, more. We got De La Cruz, more. We got Martinez, less. Every now and then, some people register less than what you expected them to. That's the way it goes. That's the way it goes. But it's still more for the most part. That's what you get when you play ball with Prize Picks.
When I look at the National Football League, obviously it's incredibly more complicated than other sports to play. Yeah. I'm not trying to say that a manager for Major League Baseball doesn't have responsibilities, a head coach for the NBA doesn't have responsibilities, but you can ultimately give them the ball and say, take me there. Sure. I can't swing the bat for you, Aaron Judge. You got to do that. I can't shoot a J for you, Steph Curry. You got to do that. Yeah. But in football, it's so much more difficult. So in regards to that, I get it. But I still lean on what Nick Saban talked to me about, because I've had the pleasure of having private conversations with Nick Saban. And he talked about leadership and being a leader of men. How important is that in today's NFL compared to what it was back in the day, in your estimation?
Yeah, so I'm not going to give up on the fact of leadership and being leader of men as one of the critical components to being a great player, quarterback, coach, owner. We all need more leaders in this world. We all need more people that are, worried about solutions than complaints. We need more leaders that are willing to step up and do more than do less, that are willing to push people to be more disciplined than less disciplined. We need more people to be team-focused and less self-focused. If we want to be successful in anything, it takes a team full of people. And a team full of people can't always be worried about what's in it for them all the time.
Right.
In all my experiences, in all my experiences in sports, whether it was high school sports, college sports, pro sports, the greatest team we had, you woke up every day and you went in there saying, what can I do to help the team win? Not what can the team do for me to promote myself as an individual. And we played teams that were more interested in being Pro Bowl players than Super Bowl players. And to me, there was a big difference between being a star and being a champion. And champions do what it takes to win every single day, no matter what it is. There's no job that's too big or too small for a champion.
So here's a question, and this begs the question. And listen, we're here at Fanatics Fest. We're having a good time. I'm not going to mention any names. But throughout history, there has been, dare I say, some prima donnas, some me kind of players that have shown up on football teams. We won't mention any names, okay? What would Tom Brady have done with a teammate like that?
Well, that's a great question, and typically it is the receiver position where that comes from. And can I explain why? Those poor guys, they stand out 23 yards from everyone else every single play. And we break the huddle, and there's 5 linemen who are all in it together, and the tight end's part of the O-line, and the quarterback's part of that group, and the running back's right behind us. And then those receivers got to run 23 yards away, and the only person they talk to all game is the corner. And that corner's talking smack the whole game to them. And believe me, that corner's away from everybody else too. So you got these 2 guys out there 25 yards from the center, and the only thing they do is talk to each other. Man, when are they going to throw you the ball? Well, I'm going to throw me the ball on this play. And they just go back and forth all game. So they get a little angry when the ball doesn't come their way. So I think part of it is understanding that particular position in the NFL always has an inherent degree of selfishness. Because, look, they want... And I would say that's not always a negative. They want to help you win the game. Right. They want to contribute. They don't want to go through a losing game and then look at their stat sheet. And I was targeted 2 times. You have Tyreek Hill. You have Justin Jefferson. You have Jamar Chase. You don't want to lose a game and look over and see those guys were targeted once or twice in the game. You want to try to feed them the ball. And believe me, if I was a quarterback, I'd be wanting to feed them the ball too. Good defenses, they try to take them away, and I don't think the receivers always necessarily understand that.
That's right.
I try to tell them, you don't understand. When they have a certain defense called, they're sometimes putting 1.5 players on you and sometimes 2 players. And in that case, I got to throw to somebody else that has a better matchup. Now, when you get a true one-on-one, we're going to get you the ball, just like every other sport, just like basketball. If they got 2 on LeBron, there's 1 guy free. Right. And I think being a good quarterback is kind of being that point guard and seeing, okay, where is there extra coverage, and then where can I get the ball where it's the easiest opportunity for us to gain yards. And the opportunity, if they give LeBron a one-on-one, then give him the ball.
Right.
And that's the point. That's how you play quarterback. You're out there point guard, you're just dishing the ball to people who can do something with it.
The eloquence of that delivery is just phenomenal. That's why you're Tom Brady. But respectfully, it didn't answer my question. If you had a teammate,
Yeah. Okay.
that was that kind of prima donna,
Yeah.
I'll put it to you this way. I once interviewed Joe Montana, and I was bringing that very scenario up. Joe Montana said I'd look at him and whisper in his ear, "You want to see the ball for the next 2 weeks?
Yeah.
You better chill out."
Yeah.
I'm asking Tom Brady, what would Tom Brady do?
So what Tom Brady would do, and I've tried, is I would try to connect with that player on a level that he's really interested in, he can relate to. I want to find out about what's going on with him and his life and why he's feeling the way he's feeling, and then try to rationalize things to a degree and say, hey, I understand what you're saying, but from my standpoint, this is how I see. So it's really about creating that connection through that relationship that you're trying to build with those particular receivers. The unfortunate thing about that is you're never going to get 100% of the way there. You could spend all your time and energy trying to connect with someone who's more self-focused, but in the end, that's their character and that's who they are. You may realize that maybe you could get 5% more out of them or 10%, but you may not get 20 or 30% more out of them. And I think that's anyone who's in here in a career, who's working, who's in charge of people and running a business. You find people that may be a little self-focused. You could put a lot of time and energy in them, and that's important because by doing that, you can actually minimize some of the distraction. But at the same time, you got to understand what the realistic expectations are for that as well. And then the opportunity, if they become too selfish, then at some point, they got to go play for the competition. And that's just the reality of sports. I think that's why it's very important to understand their emotional aspects to every athlete as well. We often evaluate athletes only on their physical ability. I watch the NFL draft. Oh, he's going to be a great player. Oh, watch him roll right and escape here. Watch him make this throw. He throws it hard. Watch him throw the downfield ball. And I'm sitting here going, okay, well, that's about 1/3 of what he needs to do to be successful.
Right.
What about the other 2/3 that nobody is thinking about? How does he deal with failure? How does he deal with success? Is he involved in game planning? Is he a good leader? Is he going to learn from year to year? Is he going to be better in the 8th game of year than he was in the 1st? How does he take care of himself? Does he have good habits off the field? What's his background like? Does he know how to deal with a degree of adversity?
Right.
So to me, that's such a small part of it. And I think we all have to understand that we're all emotional beings. And if you want to really actualize your true potential, you've got to become really in control of your emotions. The best players I had and the best teammates I ever had, they showed up to work every day. I never had to worry about their effort or their attitude. I knew that when I called a play, Wes Welker, he was going to run his ass off on every play, whether he got it or whether he didn't.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
And he was going to know what he had to do on every play. In every play, he was going to make the right decision. So when I was in a huddle with Wes Welker, I never thought for 1 second whether he was going to do the right thing or not. That frees my mind up to do what I need to do because my job's not easy.
Right.
And if I got to worry about, oh, God, I look out and I see a receiver, I'm like, oh, God, he doesn't even look like he knows. He barely lined up right. He's looking over at the sideline. It looks like he's trying to ask the coach, what do I got? And I'm like, he's out.
Right.
I'm throwing the ball somewhere else.
But would you? It's one thing to say he's out. You're going to throw the football to somebody else. Were you the type of player that was an extension of the coach from the standpoint you'd go to the coach and be like, look, he don't have it. He's not on his game. He didn't do. Some coaches see that for themselves. Some coach looked for the leaders to see that for them as well. Which kind of player were you?
Well, no, I would just tell him directly, he's out. Put him out. I'm not. And I would tell the coach. And I would tell the coach, don't put him in because I'm not throwing him the ball.
Right.
So you put him in. Just that we got 10 guys out there. So good, believe me, as a quarterback, that's the best thing you got. You hold the ball. So, and I would tell receivers on certain routes, I had a lot of pet peeves as a quarterback. And certain things I said, for example, if I was running an outside breaking route from the inside of the field to outside field, and we went inside the defender, I told the receivers, I'm never throwing you the ball. So do it. I don't care whether you do it or not. If you do it, I'm never throwing, I'm just looking at someone else. So try to get outside, push them all the way up to your depth, and then break out. Give me a chance. So that gets the point across pretty quickly if they realize that's the case for them.
It takes a lot to run your own business. And with prices rising on everything from accounting to billing and payroll, it now costs much more than it used to. And that's why, to reduce expenses and added headaches, smart businesses are graduating to NetSuite by Oracle. You see, NetSuite is the #1 cloud financial system, bringing accounting, financial management, inventory, HR, all into one platform and one source of truth. With NetSuite, you reduce IT costs and cut the cost of maintaining multiple systems because you've got one unified business management suite. You improve efficiency by bringing all your major business processes into one platform, slashing manual tasks and errors. Do the math. The less your business spends on operations in multiple systems, the more margins you have and money you keep. Over 37,000 companies have already made the move. So go now and see how you'll profit with NetSuite. And by popular demand, NetSuite has extended its one-of-a-kind flexible financing program for a few more weeks. So head to netsuite.com/SAS. That's netsuite.com/SAS. I'll say it one more time. netsuite.com/SAS. It pays to get paid on Cash App. Saving doesn't mean letting your money sit and collect dust. Deposit your paycheck on Cash App, and you can earn a high-yield savings account at no cost. I'm talking about collecting up to 4.5% interest on your cash at zero cost. Sometimes it's free things that bring you the most joy in life, like listening to music, going fishing, or walking on the beach. Deposit your paycheck on Cash App and know you're not paying a cent in fees on your savings to watch your money grow. It pays to get paid on Cash App. That's money. That's Cash App. Download Cash App from the App Store or Google Play Store today. I want to take a second to let everyone know that the NFL season is fast approaching, but you don't have to worry because Prize Picks, it's got you covered. That's right. With America's favorite sport around the corner, Prize Picks is going to help you cash in. In case you didn't know, Prize Picks is a daily fantasy app where you can select 2 or more of your favorite players and then pick more or less on their projected in-game stats. What's even better, Prize Picks is something for every sports fan. Choose from the WNBA, Major League Baseball, boxing, and everything in between. You can pick Josh Allen, Asia Wilson, and Aaron Judge all in the same entry. I make my picks and submit early, all in less than 60 seconds. Then I sit back and I watch. And get this, sign up with code SAS and Prize Picks will give you $50 instantly when you play your first $5 lineup. Your lineup doesn't need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. All you have to do is play a $5 lineup on Prize Picks and you'll get $50 instantly. So pick more, pick less. It's that easy. I got a show on YouTube, The Stephen A. Smith Show, and you were kind enough to bless me with your presence and let me do an interview with you a few months ago. I still thank you for that. I got a quote that I want to read that you gave because I want everybody to hear this. This is what you had to say about today's NFL, right on that show. I think there's a lot of mediocrity in today's NFL. I don't see the excellence that I saw in the past. I don't think the coaching is as good as it was. I don't think the development of young players is as good as it was. The rules have allowed a lot of bad habits to get into the actual performance of the game. I just think the product, in my opinion, is less than what it's been. Elaborate to the audience why you, not just what you said, but why you felt the need to articulate that point of view, because it was clearly during the NFL season you were watching what you were watching, and you were not happy. Talk about it.
I love football, that's why. And I love the sport, and if we had the iPhone 15 this year, I don't want to watch the iPhone 9 be re-released. And when I watch it, sometimes I think, wait a minute, we're regressing in the game a little bit because for a number of different reasons, and I could cite them all the way back for the last 15 years, but it could go from ultimately the development of the players is what's the most important in the NFL. If you want football to be good, you're going to want to develop these players to be better every single year. And the reality is we don't have the processes in place for those players to be better year after year. They may maintain, they may be at slightly better, but not at the improvement levels that we were able to make when I was a younger player through our ability to practice more. We had less distractions. There was much more opportunity in the offseason to train. There was more opportunity in training camp to train. There was more opportunity than the regular season to train. We had and not only through pro level, but also in college sports, because whatever gets adopted at the pro level ultimately gets adopted at the college level, and from the college level, it gets adopted to the high school level. And now I look at what could be a little bit dangerous is now there are players transferring from schools when they're not playing, and they're going to different programs, and they're going to different techniques they're learning. They're never advancing in an own individual system. There used to be college programs. Now there are college teams. You're no longer learning a program, you're learning a playbook. And the program is ultimately, like at Michigan, for me, that was a pro-style program. 5 years, I got to learn how to drop back pass, to read defenses, to read coverages, to be coached, to deal with winning games, to deal playing in Columbus, Ohio, in front of 110,000 people. Right. I had to learn from being 7th quarterback on the depth chart to moving up to 3rd to ultimately being a starter. I had to learn all those things in college. That was development. Then I went to New England, and I was developed by Coach Belichick and the offensive staff there. I didn't start my first year. I think it's just a tragedy that we're forcing these rookies to play early. But the reality is the only reason why they are is because we dumbed the game down, which has allowed them to play. It used to be thought of at a higher level. We used to spend hours and hours in the offseason and training camp trying to be a little bit better than next year. But I think what happens is it discourages the coaches from going to deep levels because they realize the players don't have the opportunity to go to a deep level, so they're just going to teach them where they're at.
How does that get rectified? How does that rectified so the quality of the quality of play can improve? How do you rectify that?
Well, I would say as I speak to, let's say, a quarterback, for example, when I was a quarterback, what I aspired to be was a game general out there. I wanted to be that field general. I wanted to call the shots. If you were my coach, you would call a play. That play would come into me. I would say, okay, I think, and we've communicated before the game, this is the reason why he called the play. We talked about this. I'm walking the line of scrimmage. I'm looking at the defense. Oh, perfect. I love the defense. This is exactly why we called this play. I snapped the ball. Well, every defense is built a little differently, and every defense takes away something a little different. Sometimes I walk to the line of scrimmage. I knew exactly why we called the play, and I goes, oh, God, it's not going to work. We have no chance this play working based on the defense that they called. So I would change the play.
Got it.
And I'd get out of the play. I'd turn it. If, let's say I had a deep pass and they were guarding you deep, I would check to a run. I'd check to a short throw. I'd get out of that play to make sure that play was successful. Now the quarterbacks walk to the line of scrimmage. Coach calls a deep play. Defense calls a coverage that takes away a deep play, and they snap the ball. And that quarterback's holding the ball, and he gets sacked. And then I hear people go, well, the offensive line's got to hold up. And I'm listening like, there was no one going to be open on that play. You could call it 100 times, the same result would have happened. When is a quarterback's responsibility to check to a play that's going to be successful? That's what I did. That's what Peyton Manning did. That's what Ben Roethlisberger did. That's what Drew Brees did. That's what Phillip Rivers did. Those are the guys. That's what Joe Montana did. That's what Steve Young did. That's what John Elway did. So when I look at the great players, I think, okay, let's try to be great. And to be great, you got to take control. You don't go out there on the air and you have a producer or director that says, hey, Stephen A., this is what I want you to do. And all of a sudden you get out there and you just regurgitate what they said. You got to feel the moment.
That's right.
It's up to you.
That's right.
That's why they trust you. We need quarterbacks like you.
Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes in 6 years. 6 AFC championship games, 4 Super Bowl appearances, 3 Super Bowl titles, 3 Super Bowl MVPs. We look at him and we say he's great. I don't know if I've heard anyone ask this question of a quarterback. A lot of times when we look at greatness today, we compare them to generations. What would they have been if they had played in a different generation? When you look at somebody like a Mahomes, for example, what would he have been in the era of football you just praised?
Yeah, I think he would be better And I'm saying he's already great.
He's already great.
I mean, believe me, he's, in my opinion, the best quarterback in the NFL. And why? I could talk about his physicals because, you know why? When I look at him and I see why he's great, I see the way that he's endeared himself to his teammates. I see the joy they have when they're out there playing together. So I love when I see his rapport with his teammates, with his coaches, how he communicates after the game. I'm listening to the press conferences as much as I'm watching him throw a tight spiral, because that's ultimately what that position is about. Yeah, it's about your ability to be physically gifted and run and throw on the move and drop his arm angle and read coverages and throw the ball deep. It's also about how the message you're creating every day to your fans, to your teammates, to your coaches, how you present yourself on the field, off the field, how you handle wins and losses. That, to me, is just as important in the development of a player. And I think the challenge that I see with him as he gets older, he's not as young as he was, and can he relate to the young players? I believe he will. He's now had a degree of success. Does that continue to motivate him? That's going to be up to him. There's going to be a lot of things that now happen in his life with his children, and as he grows, that are probably external from football. How does he deal with those? I believe he's got a good foundation to deal with those.
I would never ask you this question as a player, but damn it, you're an analyst now, so I can ask this question. Top 5 quarterbacks in the National Football League right now, according to Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes being number 1. Give me 2, 3, 4, and 5.
Yeah, so I think consistently, well, the guys that I see Josh Allen as someone who's always impresses me as a player. I see Lamar Jackson, who always impresses me as a player. Yeah, I think that some different guys probably have different moments.
Right.
Joe Burrow is very impressive the way he throws the ball and leads the team. Again, another guy who's got a great connection with his teammates.
Right.
And then I think I'll leave it at those 4.
Right. I'm going to throw Aaron Rodgers in there.
Of course.
It's just me. It's just me. One of the great pure passes the game has ever seen. I'm going to throw him in there, and the man knows the game inside out. I got to ask you.
I'm very interested to see how Aaron comes back and performs this year, and you know how dedicated and committed he is to being a great quarterback again. He had a year off. I believe that it would be very motivating for him to do that. But again, that's why they go play. And again, I think for all of us, we can analyze before the point. At the end of the day, it's going to be up to them to go out there and prove to us, right or wrong, whether our decisions or judgments or hypotheses about them are right.
I look at somebody like the San Francisco 49ers, for example, and I say to myself, they're knocking on the door. Brock Purdy's there, Kittle's there, Deebo Samuel is there, Christian McCaffrey is there. I think they need to keep Ayuk, but I'm a Steelers fan. Please go to the Steelers. But here's the deal. I look at San Francisco, and there's 2 trains of thought. On one hand, you've been knocking on the door. At some point, you're going to kick it in. Or you've been knocking on the door, and you missed your opportunity. What mode of thinking? And I'm really not about San Francisco, just about that kind of scenario. When you've been knocking on the door and you've gotten so close, is it more of a missed opportunity, or is it more of we're right there?
I think perspective will determine that ultimately when we look back. So in any team in the moment that I would say loses a Super Bowl, how many times have we lost Super Bowl and then the next year the team doesn't make the playoffs? That happens quite a bit. Yeah. You know why? Because every year you start back at the bottom with everybody else. Whether you win the Super Bowl, whether you finish in 32nd place, you start at the bottom of that mountain that you're trying to climb. And I think someone like the 49ers, for example, they run a great program. I think they have a very good ownership. They have a very good general manager. They have a good head coach. They have a very good quarterback. They have a very good defense and defensive coordinator who they've had. And I think those are great fundamentals of what you're looking for to build an organization, those positions.
I'm a huge Kyle Shanahan fan. I think he's an exceptional coach, an exceptional offensive mind. But I've never gotten over the fact that he was the offensive coordinator that lost a 25-point lead against your Patriots.
Well,
I'm like, run the football, keep the ball out of Tom Brady's hands, and the clock will work for you. That's just my thinking.
Okay. Well, I'm glad it worked out the way it did. Let me say that. But at the same time, the argument for that is Matt Ryan had a 158.3 quarterback rate into that point. He was playing as well. He won the MVP of that season. They had Julio Jones out there. And had it not, let's say he handed the ball off a couple times and it didn't go well, they'd be saying, why didn't you put the ball in the hands of the MVP and throw it to your first ballot Hall of Fame receiver? So the reality is he had the league MVP. He had one of the great receivers of the generation in Julio Jones. That offense was prolific that season. Put it in their hands. If you're going to go down in the Super Bowl, you want to go down with your best guys. And he was trying, not that he was trying to go down, but he was trying to put it in their hands.
Do you ever find, like when we watch other sports, particularly with me in basketball, you see guys and you're going like this. They look a little nervous. They don't look like they're ready to handle this moment. Did you find yourself at times on the opposite side of a football field and you're looking at the team and you're like, they ain't ready for this. They don't want this moment. I'm telling you, just put the ball back. They're not ready for this. Have you found yourself in those scenarios?
I definitely have seen that a few times. I would say it's very rare to see that on an entire defense.
Okay.
I'd say you can see it on certain players that just have checked out. They're not really that interested in being out there that day. Sometimes it comes a little bit later in the season or late in games where, they want to go out there and be a professional, but at the same time, they're playing very much within their comfort zone. They're not playing the way Ray Lewis played. They're not playing the way Ed Reed played. Those guys like that, Jason Taylor, they never checked out of a game. Zach Thomas, I had a chance to play against those guys a lot, and they were in it every single game. So I think for me, that was the guys that I really was. Michael Strahan, every game he was out there to try to, beat the opposing tackle on every play and sack the quarterback. And those are the guys that I really admire because
we've watched you, particularly since you've retired. You're talking, you're vibing with a lot of people, you're showing more of your personality, etc. Whose ass did you want to kick most when you were on the football field?
When I was on the football field?
When you was on the football field, you just wanted, it brought you joy to bring them misery. Who was that player on a football field that made you feel that way?
Well, I would say I had to try to create, in a lot of ways, I had to try to create that for everybody.
Okay.
Because it's never the person.
Okay.
Because the person is a human being.
Right.
It's the belief of who that person represents. They're standing in your way.
Right.
So, and I would say it's more team-wide, but let's say the Colts back when I was at the Patriots. Every time they lost, man, I could have thrown a party at my house. and it's not because I didn't love Peyton Manning.
Right.
And I didn't respect him more than any other quarterback that ever played against.
Right.
I just knew that if we wanted to go where we wanted to get to, he was standing in the way.
Right.
And we had to move him out of the way. And the fact that someone else could slightly budge him a little bit off track, that helped our job a little bit more.
But did that do it for you? Like you've got something that, the great players that have blessed me with their knowledge would say, there's a difference between somebody being moved out of your way and you moving them out of your way.
We like that too.
That's what I'm saying.
I do.
I'm like, did you really get all right, somebody knocked off Peyton Manning, so you didn't get the chance to knock him off.
I didn't think like that. No, I wanted him to get knocked off every week. I would have taken them to knock him off, then I'd have buried him deeper, and then hopefully the next people would bury him even deeper. But that was just, I wanted everybody to lose. Believe me, I never had, and I think a big part of this generation, too, that I see is, I didn't have friends on other teams when I was playing. I didn't have social media accounts where I could direct message people.
Hugging one another, singing Kumbaya before you go up against them. You didn't do that.
I didn't go out there on the field to shake hands, man. I was trying to, when I played against the Giants, oh my God, we almost got, this is 2020 COVID year. There was no fans. They didn't see us. I went out onto the field. I was so fired up. There was no one in the crowd. And they were trying to kick field goals on our side of the field. Well, I was not happy. I had going at it with the special teams coach, and I probably apologized, and the backup quarterback, Blaine Gabbert, was like, what is wrong with you? But I just had to create this anger because I had to go out there feeling like anger really motivated me.
Right.
I think anger was a great emotion for me as an athlete, that if I could see that someone disrespected me and I could get angry, man, that created action within me. And that action within me created energy. And that energy created confidence. And that confidence created emotion.
Right.
And that emotion created a result that I wanted.
We got about 3 minutes. We got about 3 minutes left here. with the great Tom Brady. Got to ask you a few of these questions. Number one, the number one threat to the Kansas City Chiefs in the AFC is whom?
I would say it's, man, all those teams are going to be tough. I think it's still the Bills or the Bengals just because I think the quarterback play.
The Bills and the Bengals more than the Ravens?
They're right up there.
Okay.
But I would say, you know, and they're exceptional. The Ravens have to, I think, be more successful in the postseason for me to feel like, okay, you know, they're right there. The Bengals have made it to the Super Bowl.
Okay.
The Bills have been in championship games.
That's right. He's got a 3-1 record against Patrick Mahomes. Got to give him credit where credit is due. The number one threat to the Chiefs in the entire NFL?
I think it's probably still the 49ers and the Packers, I think, are going to be a great team. And you know what? I think the Rams are going to be a good team this year, too. Very good offense, good receiving core. They've lost Aaron Donald. Nobody can replace him. That guy's first ballot Hall of Famer, but they've drafted really well. They got a really underrated defense. That's going to be a team to watch, too.
The Philadelphia Eagles having Saquon Barkley. The Philadelphia Eagles with Saquon Barkley. What is that going to do in the National Football League in your estimation?
Again, Saquon's got to prove to everybody that he can go out there and perform well over 17 games. So it's a good offense if you're a running back to be in. And believe me, Saquon, I think so highly of him as a running back. But, you know, his potential is still out there, but he's got to find it himself. I mean, there were high expectations when he came in based on what he did in college. He had some great games for the Giants, and obviously they decided to move on from him, go to a division rival. That should be we talked about the emotional aspect.
Right.
Saquon should be very angry and emotional about that, which hopefully motivates him to play his best. But he's got to go out there and perform himself.
There is a team that's very popular. Sportico says they're worth over $10 billion now. They're America's team, but they haven't won a Super Bowl in 28 plus years. Their starting quarterback has won 2 playoff victories in 8 years. And the quarterback, the wide receiver, and the elite defensive player are in line to get paid. What should we expect from the Dallas Cowboys this year?
So they've got a lot of talent on both sides of the ball. They have a lot of distractions as well.
Right.
So I think, can the great players minimize the distractions? And I think the challenging part about that environment is we're talking about them now. They're talked about more than any other team in the NFL any given day when you turn the television on. And can they handle all that comes with it? And I would say, in general, the younger players, because this is more normal for them growing up in college. Now you go to LSU, you go to Georgia, you go to Michigan, you go to Ohio State, you go to USC. You're dealing with the similar types of distractions, and they're probably learning to deal with them a little bit better. But at the same time, can they minimize the distractions so that, believe me, winning in the NFL is very hard. The competition is very tough. The margin of error is very slim. So where can you gain margins of error? You can gain them by eliminating distractions. And that's what I think the Cowboys have to master from their organization as well as their team leaders. How can they go in there and minimize the distractions so that they can go out and focus on football against a very competitive NFL?
It's apropos. Hold on. It's apropos to ask this very last question about you as opposed to the National Football League. I'm just making sure I've got all my numbers here. 23 NFL seasons, 15 Pro Bowls, 10 trips to the Super Bowl, 7 Super Bowl championships, 5-time Super Bowl MVP, 3-time league MVP. Oh, by the way, now you're going to be an elite analyst. You got the TB12 brand. You look fantastic. All right. I know you've got ownership aspirations and the like. What the hell is left for Tom Brady to accomplish?
So I think that I want to just, what would bring me the most joy is being involved with people that help me grow so that I can continue to be the mentor for people that I've really become as I've gotten older as a player. And I've had so many young players reach out to me, so many people come up to me, and they want to reach their potential. And maybe they see me as someone who has done that in my career. And I want to do that and be the mentor for other people. And how can I help people be a little bit better in their life? How can I help kids be a little bit better in their youth sports programs? How can I help elite athletes, quarterbacks, coaches? They ask me all the time, what was it like playing for Bill Belichick? What was it like after your ACL injury? What was it like going to Michigan and being a backup? I've had a lot of unique experiences that have helped me grow. And the only reason why I'm sitting here today with some unbelievable stats that you read that I always feel are very team focused is because the people that came into my life. I put effort in, but this was about the right people being in my life to allow me to grow and succeed in the way that I wanted to. And if I could be that person for other people, I would look forward to that waking up every day for the rest of my life.
I would say this to you. I've been in this business for 30 years, and I sincerely mean this from the bottom of my heart. One of the greatest honors of my career is being able to get to know you and be able to call you a friend. I really, really mean that. You're one of the best people that I know, and it's an honor and a privilege.
Thank you.
I'm going to ask for a bit of advice as my very last question. They're talking about roasting me, putting me through a roast. Did I allow them to do it? What's your advice about that?
My only advice
allow that to happen?
Measure 9 times and cut once. So think really hard about it.
Ladies and gentlemen, one and only Tom Brady.
Damn, that was good. Oh, it was good. But it's Tom Brady, so I expected no less. When you have a conversation like that, what you peel from it is how committed he is to being exceptional at whatever he chooses to do. He doesn't have to say it, but you easily get the impression. He's one of those guys that has the attitude. Why waste your time doing something if you're going to be half-assed about it? Be all you can be. Took a year off from football after retiring from playing the sport. Wanted to make sure he had all his ducks in order. Sure, he wanted to play with his kids. Sure, he wanted to spend time with his family. Sure, he wanted to decompress after 23 years in the NFL. All true. But you know what else he wanted to do? He wanted to be exceptional at what he's about to do. To make sure that he put in all the preparation necessary. Remember, he's succeeding Greg Olsen. He used to play for the Carolina Panthers, who was an award winner as a color commentator. Those are big shoes to fill because Olsen is no joke. He's a talented guy. But Tom Brady is more than talented. He's about greatness. I'm looking forward to listening to him this year, watching him work, and seeing what I predict will be a career nearly as illustrious as his playing career. That's how good I think he's going to be. And this business is something I know a thing or two about it. Congratulations to Tom Brady. Thank you so much for spending time talking to me, for wanting me to be the one to sit down and interview you. It was an honor and a privilege, just like I said, in front of that audience. And it's going to be an honor to watch you and to listen to Tom Brady in the future. I hope y'all enjoyed this episode as much as I did. Peyton Manning is next, coming Wednesday. Until then, peace and love, everybody. Stephen A. signing off. Until next time.